On paper, it was a flawless tactical victory. The world's most advanced military force dropped precision munitions on 900 strategic targets, wiped out an adversary's leadership, and established total air superiority in 12 hours. By every traditional metric of war, they won. But that overwhelming success immediately triggered a catastrophic global defeat. I'm Erin, and my job is to take the most complicated, chaotic global events and break them down into systems you can actually see and understand. In our last video, we looked at how isolated bank failures can freeze the global financial system. Today, we are tracing how a single point of failure in a military command structure can cascade into a global economic shutdown. We are going to look at how a localized military conflict thousands of miles away was engineered to bypass armies entirely and directly drain your personal bank account. In late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. The initial strike was massive. Within a 12-hour window, stealth bombers and precision missiles eliminated nearly 1,000 air defense and military sites inside Iran. The primary goal was a decapitation strike, a military tactic designed to neutralize a government by eliminating its absolute top leadership. And they succeeded. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, along with his top generals, was killed in the opening hours. Without leadership to coordinate a defense, Iran's conventional military assets were quickly dismantled. The Navy was destroyed, the Air Force was grounded. On paper, the victory was total. But removing that central command didn't kill the threat. It simply removed the only restraint holding back a much more chaotic, decentralized response. The Iranian military had spent years preparing for exactly this scenario through a doctrine called mosaic defense. Instead of a rigid chain of command, mosaic defense is designed so that if the central leadership is destroyed, provincial commanders and proxy militias across the region are pre-authorized to operate entirely on their own. This map shows the immediate result of that decapitation strike. With Tehran silent, a single organized adversary dissolved into dozens of autonomous cells. Almost instantly, the war began to spill over borders, spreading across 6 different Gulf states. Acting without orders, these proxy militias began striking surrounding military bases, shipping ports, and energy infrastructure indiscriminately. Overwhelming conventional power relies on forcing an enemy to surrender, but you cannot force a surrender if there is no central authority left to call off the attacks. The primary weapon of this decentralized network is the Shahed 136. It's a small, GPS-guided flying bomb powered by a simple motorcycle engine. It is devoid of advanced stealth or complex sensors. But it has one advantage. It can be built for as little as $4,000 to $35,000. To stop these drones from hitting high-value targets, the United States relies on some of the most advanced defense technology on Earth, like the Patriot missile system. This ticker compares the rapid depletion of multi-million-dollar defense budgets against the minimal cost of maintaining a drone stockpile. Intercepting a single cheap drone requires firing a Patriot or SM-2 missile that can cost up to $8 million. Think about your own home. If someone starts throwing $5 rocks through your windows, and your only defense system costs $1 million to activate every single time, how long can you afford to keep yourself safe? If you want to understand how these hidden systems dictate global politics, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss our next breakdown. Military superiority is neutralized if the mathematical exchange ratio of your weapons bankrupts you before the enemy runs out of targets. The decentralized militias eventually turned their focus toward a massive geographic vulnerability, the Strait of Hormuz. Using their cheap drones and naval mines, the militias effectively blockaded this specific waterway, making it too dangerous for commercial vessels to pass. 20 million barrels of oil travel through this choke point every day. That is 20% of the planet's daily petroleum consumption, trapped instantly. By dropping a geographic gate, the network transformed a regional military conflict into a direct attack on the global supply chain. Within days of the blockade, Brent crude prices violently spiked to $126 a barrel. The shock spread quickly. Shipping insurers refused coverage, tanker traffic through the strait collapsed by 80%, and global energy flows were forced into costly detours around Africa. Despite having total air superiority, the coalition could not force the strait back open. With Qatar declaring force majeure on 20% of the world's LNG and energy supplies held hostage, the strategic cost of the war began to outpace its military objectives. The global economy simply reached its limit. Destroying an enemy's command structure matters less than destroying their ability to hold the world's energy supply hostage. The 2026 conflict proved that the era of conventional military invincibility is officially over. A technologically inferior nation can paralyze the world by producing cheap weapons faster than you can build expensive defenses, and holding trade routes hostage. So I leave you with this. In modern warfare, what actually wins? The sheer power to destroy an enemy's capital, or the persistence to just keep throwing $5 rocks at the windows? Personal economic stability is tethered to choke points halfway across the world, and they are far more fragile than they appear.